Hello, I am the T101, or I'm a T101. Anyway, as you may have gathered, this review is something to do with Terminator films. This is going to be the review of Terminator Genisys, the fifth in the Terminator saga. What is it about the Terminator films that's so inspiring? Is it the end of the world? Yes, for centuries humanity has feared their impending doom. Or is it the fact that the Terminators were controlled by a machine created by humans? Therefore, it's humans' fault, the end of the world. But if it's our fault, then surely we can do something to stop it from happening. It has all kinds of interesting issues, as well as a lot of exciting action scenes. But let's get to the point. We're here to talk about Terminator Genisys and... Oh, hang on. Oh, just a moment. Okay, I'm the real reviewer. Okay, that was just an introduction from a T101. This is an action figure made in the 90s by Kenner, because Kenner was once one of the top toy makers, yeah. And, bit of a novelty. He's dressed in army trousers, although at no point in any Terminator films did a Terminator do that. Well, this is an extra bit of franchise, you know. And pretty cool, as you can see, he has half his face has been ripped off. There's the metal skeleton underneath. That seems to be the thing that is consistent in all Terminator films. At one point, a Terminator has half his face, or almost half his face, ripped off, and then there's no doubt about it, he's definitely a robot, yeah, underneath. Anyway, I'm going to talk about Terminator Genisys, and yes, there will be some spoilers, so if you haven't seen this film, see it first. And, well, normally, I review a film that I've seen many times, but I thought I'd make an exception now and again, and I've only seen it once. I've seen it in the cinema. And, well, I did enjoy it. It was a very enjoyable film. I came out of the theatre feeling quite satisfied. I was quite happy with it. But I'll say good things and bad things about the film. First of all, some bloopers. In this one we have Emilia Clarke, of Game of Thrones fame. She does an excellent job playing the new Sarah Connor. However, she does say that when she was 9 years old, it was the year 1973. But that's a blooper, because in Terminator 3 it's clearly stated the character Sarah Connor was born in 1959. Also, Kyle Reese, in this film, it's stated that he was born in the year 2004. So if he was born in 2004, he'd have to be 14 in the year 2018. But in Terminator Salvation it's stated that he's 16 in the year 2018, so the bloopers here and there. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You just let it wash over your head, you know. It's fantasy. It's just escapism, you know. So it doesn't matter if there's the odd little blooper now and again. And also, we're on a different timeline in this film. The opening sequence is the year 1984. And Kyle Reese is, well, the beginning, the very beginning is in the future, you know. And Kyle Reese is sent backwards in time to the year 1984. And so it's basically showing, you know, what we're already familiar with in the first film. But, a different twist this time, when he gets there, a Terminator's trying to kill him. He's like, why is a Terminator trying to kill me? I thought there was only one here to kill Sarah Connor. Well, no. Sarah Connor already knows all about the Terminator machines, and she rescues Kyle Reese. It's a bit of role reversal there, you know. Instead of him protecting her, she's protecting him. And she's on the ball. She knows more about these Terminators than he does. And it's very weird, because in the first Terminator film, Kyle Reese explains everything to Sarah Connor. But in this version, it's the other way around. She explains everything to him. And we, the audience, are just as bewildered as poor Kyle Reese. What the heck is going on here, you know? Yeah, so, in other words, effectively, in this new timeline, there are 3 Terminators in 1984. There's the original one, the first film, sent to kill Sarah Connor. There's another one that's been there for about 11 years. He's been there since 1973. Who also looks just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, another T-101. He's protecting Sarah Connor. And we have another one that's the T-1000. So, in other words, their mission in 1984 is to kill the baddie T-101 and then kill the T-1000. Which they do very quickly. Yes, I was a bit disappointed the T-1000 was killed so quickly, you know. But no, we have a different enemy afterwards. Okay. So, in other words, we're shown what we're familiar with, and then we're shown a new twist. Everything's different now. Yeah. In other words, Sarah Connor, a protector was sent for her. Well, a robot was sent to kill her in the year 1973. He succeeded in killing her parents, but somehow she managed to get away because a protector robot helped her, and she called him Pops. You know, because he's like a father figure to her, and he looks just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And any more bloopers? Well, I have only seen the film once, so I'm going to review it as best I can. Oh yes, here's a thing. He's aged in 9 years. You know, he looks a bit older. And Kyle Reese says, if he's a robot, how come he's aged? You know, and she just says sometimes they age. You know, and then Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor have to go forwards in time to the year 2017. But because the T-101 has been damaged, part of his metal showing through his face, so of course he can't travel through time with them, because you have to be completely covered in skin. Any metal will not travel through time. So instead he has to wait for more than 30 years. Well, he's a robot, he's patient, he can wait. He has to wait it out for 30 years, and then he meets them in the future. And he's aged 30 years, so that's why he's got wrinkles and grey hair and everything. He's aged 30 years, yeah. However, in Terminator 2, John Connor asks the T-101 in that film, how long do you live for? And he says 200 years. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. How come this one ages then, you know? But, you know, you could say that's a blooper, or you could get away with it by saying it's a new timeline, so new rules. You know, we're seeing alternate versions of things. Yes, they do that. I suppose ultimately because they have to explain what the heck is going on, and they take a fair few liberties, you know. Judgment Day has been changed again. Originally it was 1997, then it was 2003, and now it's 2017, 2 years in the future. So, yeah. But you have to change Judgment Day because, well, how are you supposed to do a sequel, you know? But how many times can you change Judgment Day? Is there a limit to how many times you can change it? Well, some scientists say there's only one future, and that's it. You can't change anything that's going to be in the future. And other scientists say there's more than one future. If you change things in the future, that other future still exists in a different timeline, but there's this one here. In other words, it makes sense if there's more than one future. Put one possible future or several possible futures. In this possible future, Judgment Day happens in the year 2017. And, well, yes, so we're in the year 2017, the near future. That's the thing that remains consistent. The heroes have to stop Judgment Day in the near future. If it's a few years, a few months, or in this case, a couple of years. And, yes, they meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, or the newest version of him. The old one, if you like, you know, yeah, because he's aged. And we have another robot that's sent in the year 2017 to stop them from stopping Judgment Day. His mission is to make sure Judgment Day happens. So in other words, the film is effectively like a mixture of Terminator 2 and Terminator 3, yeah, and of course Terminator 1, yeah. They got elements from all the best films and put them in. There's little or no reference to Terminator Salvation. It's as if they want to, no, forget that film never happened, you know, yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't think Terminator 4 was that bad. It was alright, but I think the problem with Terminator 4, Terminator Salvation, was there was too much focus on the special effects and the action. Not enough attention on the storyline and the character development. Whereas this one, there is more focus on that. Yes, we see some really elaborate action scenes, but at the same time, it's got some heart, you know, focus on the characters. Like Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor, there's one moving moment where she's like, you know, I have to do everything to stop bad things happening. Everything's controlled because of my foreknowledge. I have to do everything. It's my duty to save humanity, you know. Everything in my destiny has been set for me. And then Kyle Reese says, well, don't you get it? If we stop Judgment Day, you won't have a prescribed destiny anymore. Your future won't be set for you anymore. You'll be free to choose your own life. Yeah. So yeah, that was quite a moving thing. Don't just do this to save humans in general. Do it for yourself as well. So yeah, that gives you the drive, the determination. Yeah. And Terminator 4, people say there are many reasons why it didn't do as well as it did, but one of the main ones is there's no Arnold Schwarzenegger. There's no Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 4. You can't have a successful Terminator film without Arnold Schwarzenegger, because it's not the same. I know it's not, I've seen Terminator 4 and it's just not the same, and you've got to have him, as one of the lead characters. And why did Arnold Schwarzenegger do a fifth Terminator film? It's not like he needs the money, Well, maybe he did it, it's not about the money. It's because he wants to be cool again, He wants to be in a big hit film that was made less than 10 years ago. Yeah, he wants to be cool again, current, here and now. And it's called Terminator Genisys, although instead of two I's in the word Genesis, there's a Y just before the S. Why is this? Oh, I don't know, just to make it more distinctive, or maybe the Y stands for something. I don't know. As I've said, I've only seen the film once. But it's sort of symbolic, isn't it? Because the story is about Skynet in its most primitive form, the day it begins. Yeah, Genesis, the beginning of something, yeah. In the story, Genesis, it's some sort of really high-tech internet thing that connects all people's electronic equipment together. And of course, that's a perfect thing for Skynet to take over. Yeah, so that's why Skynet wants to take over the Genesis products, so that it can effectively become omnipresent and take over the world. Yeah. So, oh yes, and we have, not Miles Dyson, Miles Dyson's son is in charge of the Genesis project. How can that be? Isn't he aware that computers could take over the world someday? Doesn't he know that from Terminator 2? Didn't anyone tell him? Or, I don't know, you could say this is an alternate timeline where that didn't happen, or it did happen, but now it's been long forgotten about, and he thinks this computer thing is perfectly safe, Are computers perfectly safe? Well, just don't let a psychotic killer robot take over them. That's all I can say to that, yeah. And the baddie, the big villain, the main villain, if you like, is a killer robot from the future, but it's not really clear what it is. Is it a T-1000? Is it a Terminatrix? Or is it a combination of both? Is it different ideas put together, or a hybrid robot or something? It's quite vague. I think I need to see the film again to clearly specify what it is. But this much is clear. It is tough, an incredibly tough robot, and he beats the heck out of poor Arnold Schwarzenegger, So, like in the other films, you got to use brains as well as brawn in order to beat an enemy, yeah. And so yes, it was a very enjoyable movie, but here's a spoiler about a teaser. Everyone walked out the cinema, when the credits went up and everything. I didn't. I wanted to read a few of them. And then after about 3 minutes, the credits disappeared, and we had footage of a teaser for a possible sequel. Are teasers for a possible sequel a good idea? Well, it would look pretty stupid if they didn't do a sequel, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would look pretty dumb, yeah. If there's definitely going to be a sequel, then it is a good idea, but I don't think we need another one. I was quite happy with Terminator Genisys. It made up for the bad Terminator 4, so job well done. We don't need another one. It's unnecessary, But they left a teaser just in case, just in case that people want another one. But me, if they do another one, can it please definitely be the last one? Because it's getting out of hand, Because Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is well into his late 60s now. And I think when he's over 70, he should stop doing action films. Maybe he can still do films, but stop doing action films, Otherwise, the Terminator films will just lose all credibility, So, well, to cut a long story short, it was a very enjoyable film, a great fun roller coaster ride, great action scenes, lots of excitement, And you're rooting for the characters, you care about them. So yes, good character development, yeah. So yes, Terminator Genisys, still not as good as 1 and 2, but the next best thing, yes, very enjoyable films. And what about catchphrases? Do we have a cool catchphrase in this? Well, what do you think, Mr. Terminator? Oh yes, here's a good catchphrase. This is a quote from the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator in Terminator Genisys. He says, "I'm old, not obsolete." Yeah, okay. So, do we want another one? Well, we'll see. But if we didn't have another one, I'm quite satisfied. Terminator Genisys